Hey, why are you hanging out over there? You should show a little concern. Wipe off my sweat too. You're my wife, after all. I no longer feel obligated to worry about you. You've lost the right to expect marital duties from me since you cheated. I coldly stated this and showed Harrison and my sister the photo I had. As soon as I revealed this truth in the hospital room, my sister was greatly shaken. At that moment, I faced an unbelievable sight. My name is Sally, a 28-year-old office worker. After graduating from college, I joined a logistics company and have been working hard ever since. Life as a working adult was harder than I imagined, both physically and mentally, but I was happy to work as a permanent employee and receive a salary. Busy yet fulfilling, I started to get accustomed to my job around the time I met Harrison through a friend's introduction. Harrison worked for a major corporation, the epitome of an elite, with a fast mind and extensive knowledge, trusted by juniors and superiors alike. He was approachable and humble, a person of good character. When I confided in him about my work troubles, he listened intently and gave me precise advice. So, when the irresistibly charming Harrison proposed dating with marriage in mind, I was so surprised that I raised my voice. After all, Harrison seemed like a person from another world to me. 3 years have passed since we got married, and I am still continuing my job smoothly. We don't have children yet, but Harrison and I live happily as a couple. On weekends, we relax by watching movies and sometimes go on drives to sightsee. My parents' house is about an hour's drive from where we live in the city center, and my parents were very close, enjoying traveling together as their hobby. My father passed away from illness a few years ago, but since then, I've been worried about my mother, who is now alone, and frequently visit my parents' house. Since the drive doubles as a visit and my husband also says he feels comfortable at my parents' house, it naturally becomes a place we often go to. Incidentally, the timing was a bit awkward, but right after my dad passed away, my sister got divorced and moved back to our parents' house. So, I feel relieved knowing there's someone there in case something happens. My relationship with my husband and my parents' home is good, and from the outside, we look like a couple without any issues. But there's one thing that's been bothering me lately. It's that Harrison's been coming home after midnight more frequently. When I ask him why, he brushes me off, saying, "It's the busiest time right now." You work too, Sally, so you should understand how tough it is. I do understand the busyness of peak times. However, he has never come home this late since we got married. So, I'm really worried he might be pushing himself too hard. Mom says the same, but you're worrying too much. Harrison said, not even trying to hide his wry smile. Seeing his attitude, I felt it was useless to say anything more and stopped the conversation. All right, take care. I've prepared a bath for you, so go soak and relax. To that, Harrison just replied, thanks, and headed to the bathroom. When did he start keeping such a distance? There was a time, no matter how busy, he wouldn't show this kind of attitude. Do people change over time? Or is this what they call the doldrums in a relationship? Despite the lingering unease in my heart, I decided to just go to bed and was about to head to the bedroom when something brightly colored caught my eye from Harrison's bag on the sofa. Curiosity got the better of me, despite thinking I shouldn't snoop through his things, and I picked it up. The emotions I had tried to suppress came flooding back. It was a red watch. And it was the one I had given to my sister. It was a watch from her favorite brand that I had custom-made for her birthday last year. She seemed to really love it. Worry races through my mind, but there's no point in dwelling on it. I have to get up early tomorrow, but at this rate, I don't think I'll be able to sleep. After a while, Harrison came out of the bath and entered the bedroom. Hey, Harrison, I hate to bring this up before bed, but there's something I need to ask, I started. Harrison looked a bit troubled and said, what's up, but I continued without hesitation. Why do you have this? I said that, showing him the red watch. Harrison's face changed. Oh, this. I borrowed it because I wanted to check the time, but I accidentally took it home with me. I was planning to return it the next time we met but forgot, Harrison explained. I see. That puts my mind at ease. That's all I wanted to ask. Good night, I replied. Harrison didn't say anything and got into bed. But even after that, the unease in my heart didn't clear, and I ended up hardly sleeping until morning. Ever since that incident, I've had many anxious nights and finally ended up getting sick. I could tell I had a fever without even using a thermometer when I woke up. My body felt like lead, and my head throbbed continuously. It seems I've caught a cold, probably from pushing my sleep-deprived body too hard with work and household chores. When I called in sick to work, they told me to make sure to go to the doctor, but I was in no condition to drive, and I didn't have the energy or willpower to walk to the clinic. Harrison had already left the house, so getting a ride from him wasn't an option either. I had no choice but to spend the day resting in bed. If it were the old Harrison, he surely would have taken care of me, and just thinking about that made me sad. So, I tried to shake off those feelings and closed my eyes. When I woke up, the sunlight streaming in through the window was illuminating the houseplants in the room. It seems I had slept soundly. Thankfully, the terrible headache had eased, and I felt much clearer. However, I still wasn't well enough to walk around outside energetically. I reluctantly decided to ask Harrison to pick up some medicine and ingredients for dinner on his way home, and I grabbed my smartphone. Feeling sorry for bothering Harrison when he was likely busy, but thinking it's okay to lean on him a bit when I'm feeling sick, I immediately made the call. Hello, Harrison? It's me. What's up, Sally? I'm still at work. What do you need? I wanted to say there's no way to talk to your wife like that, but I didn't have the energy to start an argument. I'm really sorry to bother you while you're busy. I've had a fever since this morning and called off work. The fever hasn't gone down, and I can't go out to shop. Could you pick something up on your way home? Then, my husband sighed. Oh, you're just being too soft on yourself. Excuse me? I think taking care of yourself is part of your job as professional. Aren't you self-aware enough? I'm too busy at work today to go home, so you'll have to handle the shopping yourself. I don't even have the energy to go shopping. Relying too much on others will make you soft. Anyway, my boss is calling me. I gotta go. Harrison said, and then hung up. Stunned, I listened to the beep of the call ending and remained motionless for a while, phone still to my ear. Why would he talk like that to someone who's sick? No matter how busy with work, does he want to avoid talking to me that much? In the early days of our marriage, Harrison was the one who worried about me the most when I was sick, taking care of me diligently. He would go to the drugstore to buy pudding or energy drinks for me, and even called my mom to ask what's best to eat when you have a fever. What made the kind-hearted Harrison become so cold? Feeling a fever rise again, I drank some chilled mineral water from the fridge and went back to bed without thinking further. Harrison didn't return home until the deep hours of the next night. My health had already improved significantly, and I was able to go to work that morning. I wanted to go to bed early because I was still recovering, but I had something I needed to tell Harrison, so I waited for him to come home. The show I wanted to watch had already ended, and I was watching an infomercial with no particular interest when I heard the door open. I hurried to the entrance. Welcome back, that must have been tough. Yeah. Food and bath are ready, what will you do? No need for either, I'm beat. Unlike you, I don't have the luxury to rest. After witnessing Harrison's cold attitude over the phone yesterday, I didn't expect him to worry over a slight illness. However, as soon as he came home, I told him there was something I needed to say. What? I'm already sleepy, make it quick. Actually, when I went to work today, my boss asked me to go on a business trip next week. I thought about the house, but since it's only for 2 or 3 days, I decided to accept. So, I'm going to need you to take care of things at home while I'm away next week. I usually handle all the household chores, so I was a little worried about how Harrison would manage. He might even strongly object. But his response was unexpected. A business trip, huh? When are you leaving? Next Tuesday. I'm not sure when I'll be back yet. I'm planning to discuss the details with my boss tomorrow. I'll let you know once it's decided. Got it. Oh, make sure to contact me as soon as you get back. Saying that, Harrison headed to the bathroom, seemingly a bit happy for some reason. What? Hey, weren't you going to sleep? Changed my mind. Since you prepared it, I'm going to take a bath and freshen up before going to bed. I was a bit surprised at how Harrison's attitude brightened after hearing about the business trip. If it were the old me, I might have been pleased by the change, but now it just raises more doubts. However, with the trip starting soon, I told myself it was pointless to get worked up over speculation. Yet, Harrison's brief look of happiness stirred my unease. Why did he seem so pleased? As the trip approached, Harrison kept saying things he normally wouldn't, like leave the house to me and focus on your work during the trip. On the day of the trip, despite being busy, Harrison gave me a ride to the airport, saying, "Take care. See you on Thursday," and waved goodbye with a smile. Sitting in my seat on the plane, I reflected on Harrison's recent behavior. His cheerful demeanor, the reason for his late returns, and the red watch found in his bag came to mind. As I pondered what these could mean, I was filled with anxiety. But without any solid evidence, I told myself the business trip was still ahead and focused on heading to my destination. Then, I opened my smartphone's contact list to call home. Hello? Hey, it's Sally. Mom? Oh, it's rare for you to call. What's up? Aren't you supposed to be at work? No, actually, I'm on a business trip. I had some time, so I thought I'd call. I haven't been in touch since I last visited home. Are you okay? No cold or anything? A business trip sounds almost like a little vacation. What are you talking about? It's work, all work. Your love for travel really hasn't changed, has it? I then asked, "Hey, how's Kate doing lately? Anything new with her?" "Oh, Kate's doing well as always. She's going to work and all." "Oh, but actually, she took the day off today. The house has been buzzing since this morning, and it got me up earlier than usual." "She took a day off? Does she have some special plans or something?" My heart started to feel uneasy. "Yeah, actually, she's been preparing to go out since this morning. She's about to leave, right? I get the feeling she's dressed up more than usual. Maybe she's got a new boyfriend?" I speculated. My anxiety grew, and my heartbeat quickened just when I was trying to confirm my worries. While I was lost for words, my mom kept talking. "She finally found someone new, huh? I'm happy for her." Slowly, I moved the phone away from my ear, feeling my mom's voice fade as I eventually ended the call. Leaning against the door, I stared intently at my smartphone's screen. After a while, I opened the call screen again and pressed the dial button. That night, after finishing work and returning to the hotel, I lay in bed feeling as if a weight was crushing me with fatigue. Of course, during work, I focused on the meetings with clients, not letting thoughts of those two distract me. At this point, there's no concrete evidence of an affair. So, there's no use in dwelling on it. Yet, my brain was working overtime, trying to fit any potential evidence to the case. Wondering when and if Harrison and Kate have been together lately, or maybe Kate was just dressing up for herself. And maybe Harrison was just really busy with work. But then, why did he seem so elated that time? Why didn't he show any concern when I caught a cold? I thought about calling my mom again, but asking the same questions several times a day would raise suspicion, and even if the two were meeting, it's not likely my sister would tell the truth to our mom. "Oh, this is pointless, let's just focus on work for now," I decided to switch gears. Then, on Thursday night, after successfully completing the 3-day business trip, I was relaxing on the sofa at home. Unusually, Harrison had already come home, and we spent some quiet time together for the first time in a while. Everything was okay at home while I was away? Yeah, no problems at all. And the 3 days went by quicker than I thought. Really? It felt quite long to me. But I'm relieved the house isn't as messy as I imagined. Did you eat out? Yeah, mostly fast food. I managed to do the laundry even without Sally here. That's good. Oh, I bought some sweets, let's have them together. Sounds good, he replied, and I quickly prepared some tea and snacks. It was rare for us to enjoy a peaceful conversation together. This might be the perfect opportunity to clear up those suspicions. By the way, what were you up to while I was on the business trip? Oh. Work, obviously. You're not thinking I was meeting some other woman, are you? Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I was just wondering what you were up to since it's the first time you've been alone since we got married. We always go back to our parents' house together, after all. I casually brought up the topic of going home, but Harrison's reaction didn't change. Speaking of going home, it reminded me of something. I talked to Mom for the first time in a while on the way back. I was surprised to hear that Kate might have a boyfriend. She hasn't been with anyone since her divorce. Kate has a boyfriend? But that's good for her, starting anew, right? That's great. Yeah, it is. Harrison was completely unfazed and casually ate the cake I had brought back as souvenirs. Seeing how calm he was, I didn't feel like pursuing the topic any further, and it ended there. A few days later, it was decided that Harrison would be going on a business trip to another region. Unlike my trip, this one seemed to be a long-term assignment. If successful, it could significantly boost his standing within the company, even possibly leading to an unprecedented promotion. Harrison was quite enthusiastic. Because of that, he has been coming home late almost every night, busy with preparations for the trip. Watching his buoyant demeanor, I had a hunch. It was eerily similar to his reaction when I told him about my own business trip. The night before his departure, Harrison had to run out to the convenience store after realizing he forgot to buy something. I took this as the perfect opportunity to check his suitcase, heading to the bedroom. Luckily, the suitcase was left open and easily accessible. Looking for evidence, I peered inside the suitcase, and its contents were suspicious at first glance. Is this really preparation for a business trip? A travel guidebook was hidden intentionally, and on top of it were notes with reservations times for popular restaurants and new, stylish clothes that didn't seem work-related. It looked like plans for a trip with someone. The next moment, I was shocked. Could it really be? The next day, Harrison left the house early in the morning. He wasn't wearing the stylish clothes I saw the day before, but his usual suit. After confirming the door was closed, I immediately tried to contact my parents' home. But no matter how long I waited, there was no answer. Anxiously, I headed to my workplace. Then, an unexpected development awaited me. In the morning, I was at a loss for words when I received a sudden call from the hospital. Hello, this is Westside Hospital. May I speak to Mrs. Harrison Smith? Yes, that's me. What happened? We will explain the details when you arrive. Your husband has been injured and we ask that you come as soon as possible. I learned that Harrison had slipped and fractured his leg while at a spa resort and was urgently transported to a nearby hospital. Thankfully, his life was not in danger. I immediately informed my boss of the situation and rushed to the hospital. On the way, I also contacted Harrison's company. Normally, if he was on a business trip, the company would have been informed of his whereabouts. I'm really sorry to trouble you, but this is Harrison Smith's wife, Sally Smith. I heard my husband was hospitalized during his business trip. When I said this, I was met with a surprising statement from my husband's boss who answered the phone. What do you mean Harrison has been hospitalized during his business trip? We only have a report that he took a long vacation, and I heard he was traveling with his wife. That was the response I got. This confused me, but I quickly understood the situation and it became clear that Harrison had lied about going on a business trip and had actually gone on a vacation. Moreover, he had told his company that he was traveling with me and had taken leave for it. Hearing this, my anger towards Harrison surged, but at the same time, the fact that he was suffering from a fracture complicated my feelings as I rushed to the hospital. The hospital was located about 2 hours from the city center in a resort area. Upon arrival, I completed the check-in process and headed to Harrison's hospital room. As expected, my sister Kate was there, taking care of Harrison. He himself had fractured his right leg and was in a pitiful state with a large bandage wrapped around it. He mumbled pitifully, "I'm so sorry it had to come to this." But in my mind, anger won out over sympathy for him. "Hey, why are you just hanging around there? Show a little concern, will you? Wipe off my sweat too. You're my wife, after all. I no longer feel any obligation to worry about you. No matter how tough it gets for you." "What do you mean? I was just busy with work. And I got injured because I was too tired." My husband tried to excuse himself, but his words no longer held any weight for me. "Just keep piling up the lies. Pretending to work when you were just out having fun." "What did you say?" Harrison said, his face turning red, and he tried to move. But in the next moment, he lost his balance and fell from the bed. Then he screamed in pain. When the nurse rushed in to ask about the situation, I just coldly looked down at my betrayed husband. "You just fell on your own. You've lost the right to expect any marital duties from me since you cheated." I coldly stated this and showed Harrison and Kate the photo I had been holding. Yes, on the day I told Harrison I was going on a business trip, I felt something off about Harrison's satisfied behavior and Kate's actions, so I hired a detective to monitor the two of them together over 3 days. As a result, I was able to obtain evidence of their infidelity. The photos provided clearly captured the moments of Harrison meeting up with Kate at a hotel. As soon as I revealed this truth in the hospital room, Kate was greatly shaken. She desperately denied it, saying, "No, it's not me, the real person isn't me," while opening the curtain to the next bed. At that moment, I faced an unbelievable sight. Behind the curtain was my mother. And she was more severely injured than Harrison. Faced with this situation, my mind was in turmoil. "Wait, why is Mom here?" Then Kate began to speak calmly. "Listen to the truth. Harrison's affair wasn't with me. It was actually with Mom." This shocking revelation left me frozen. It was true that my mother and Harrison had been traveling together, and an accident in a mixed-gender bath led them both to be rushed to the hospital. Kate continued to explain how much our mother had been struggling since our father's death, how envious she had been of my relationship with my husband, and that she had been in contact with Harrison behind my back. I don't want to hear any excuses anymore. To my mother, who apologized with a sorry, that's all I could say. This whole situation is beyond abnormal. And you knew everything from the start, I said, feeling disappointed in Kate. The reality that my mother and my sister's husband were involved was hard to accept. "Why did you keep silent about it?" To my question, Kate sighed. "Ever since Harrison and Mom started their affair, I've been desperately trying to fix things without you knowing. Then, Mom asked me to pretend to be the affair partner in case things got exposed. I couldn't say no. Hearing this made me angry. Did you even consider me for a moment during all this?" Kate answered quietly. "It was a tough time for me too. I wanted to do something about Mom's loneliness. And I felt she became happier since Harrison started coming around." I was speechless. My own family was this selfish and morally corrupt. "And there's this evidence too," Kate said as she pulled out an IC recorder. She had recorded conversations between Harrison and my mother, just in case, to prove her own innocence. When she pressed play, Harrison and my mother's voices were clearly recorded. Their conversation, and their laughter talking about me, was audible. At that moment, Harrison suddenly exclaimed, "No! That woman came on to me. I tried to reject her, but she kept coming after me every time." I stared at Harrison calmly. "Do you really think that? Then why are you talking so happily here?" And to Harrison's words, my mother retorted indignantly, You're the one who said you were drawn to the allure of an older woman and approached me. Stop lying. Just because you're a bit younger doesn't mean you can be so delusional. Both parties were blaming each other, but who seduced whom first is no longer important. I don't want to be involved in this anymore. I still have work to clean up. Sally, you have your sister, after all. Kate said, trying to leave, but I stopped her. Wait, you're not innocent in this. You're a perpetrator too. What? How can you say that? Sure, my mother and Harrison's betrayal is unforgivable. But Kate, knowing the truth and cooperating with the deception, is just as responsible. I plan to demand compensation from all of them and never let them forget the pain of betrayal. A few days later, I hired a lawyer to proceed with the divorce from Harrison. I was also successful in obtaining a significant settlement from him and my mother. It was later revealed that the reason for Kate's divorce was her own infidelity. So, it makes sense why she could act this way. And Kate is still trying to reconcile with her ex-husband, but has been firmly rejected. As for Harrison, after being discharged, he returned to work, but the atmosphere was quite uncomfortable for him. His bad reputation spread throughout the company, and he was eventually transferred to a regional branch, where he is isolated. Meanwhile, my mother has been forced into a wheelchair life due to the accident and is spending her days in bitterness being cared for by Harrison. This self-inflicted situation couldn't be more fitting for them. I've completely cut ties with them and decided never to associate with them again. For now, I plan to enjoy my single life and focus on my work instead of love.